Welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new episode on the podcast. I'm with Glenn. It's the new year and it's the first episode we are recording in 2024. I'm happy to have you as my first person on this on the podcast, Glenn. How is your new year?
Not great. It could have been better, but if you do forget about football, yes, it is good. You're happy to reach the new year, and
Yeah.
keep talking about Arsenal. So yeah, blessed to reach the new year. So I'm happy to work with you as always again. How many years in a row now since 2025th year? Let's go again.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly believe in happy endings. So
Mm.
probably the way we started the year, we will end it on a better note. Probably winning the Champions League. That could be the best thing that ever happens to us as fans. But happy New Year to everyone in the comment section below watching the video. Please do subscribe. Please do follow us on all our socials. You can follow Glenn on his YouTube channel, Glenn Kitely Everything Arsenal, and Glenn Kitely Everything Football. It's the same initials on Facebook and same initials on Twitter as well. Glenn, we have a problem, and the problem is we've been found out. And I think every Arsenal fan will agree with me right now that the hopes of us winning the title at the moment are actually very, very small. And it doesn't come from the fact that time is out. It comes from the fact that teams are playing much better than us. Villa look much better. Manchester City, we know there is a guarantee that they will come back. They have two of their best players coming back as we talk right now, and Liverpool have just resurrected from the dead, and they've actually done very well. So the last 5 games, we've actually dropped 11 points out of 15, losing a couple of those, especially the games we lose at the Emirates. I don't know. Let's start off with those last 5 games, especially West Ham, Fulham. Where is it getting wrong? Where are we not doing the right things right at the right time?
So if you focus on the last two games, two completely different losses, because the West
Yeah,
Ham one was a game where we had 30 shots and we should have won the
yeah,
game, and most
yeah,
fans agree that should have won the game. Acha came out after the game and said, this is a game we deserved to win because the chances that you created in West Ham had like 3-4 shots and they took two of them and also missed the penalty at the end. But you missed so many chances. And the Fulham game, totally different. It's a game we didn't
yeah,
create enough. It is a game where we couldn't get 3-4 passes going, and it was our best players, who couldn't get the passes going. So two completely different losses. Now, after looking at the Brighton and West Ham games, I was like, yeah, it's striker. We need a striker. We can't be missing this many chances. We are creating. Saka is putting in good crosses. Martinelli is putting in good crosses. Odegaard is creating 4 or 5 big chances every single game. It's a striker that we need. But then again, you watch the Fulham game and you're like, is it really a striker that we need? Or more than that, a striker and someone else more than that. Because for the Fulham game, it was, if you're to give them an excuse of a couple of players who are tired, we need backups for them. If you're going to count Saka on that list, players who are out of form like Martinelli, that's the player you need to maybe get a backup
yeah,
for. Trust the players on the bench. Is Rice tired playing every single game like that? Every single Champions League game, every single league game, he came on in the Carabao Cup game. Does he also need someone to help him out in the midfield where he can at least get one rest and then play for a full month and then get one rest? Because if you look at Man City, the De Bruyne's and the Rodgers, whenever they're fit, they don't play every single day.
yeah.
Rodri
True,
also does not
true,
play every
true.
single day. Sometimes you'll see Calvin Phillips from nowhere. Sometimes you'll see Kovacic from nowhere. Previous seasons you'll see Fernandinho from nowhere. Like, they never play every single game. So those two matches, very very different losses. So you have to
Yeah,
ask, okay, we need a striker and something else on top of that. And something that we've always depended on this season is if we don't score, we usually get a 1-0 from somewhere,
yeah, yeah,
or
exactly, exactly.
close to a 0-0. Like the Newcastle game was close to being a 0-0.
Nail,
Like if you
nail, yeah,
don't score, you also don't score. But now the problem is maybe some of the defenders have also gotten tired. So now we are conceding goals and we are
yeah,
needing to attack. And that's
yeah,
and it's not a good idea to be needing 3 goals to win a game. And that is what we'd have needed the last 2 games: 3 goals to win the game, 2 draws to get a draw. And we've been depending a lot on if you score a goal, you win the game. Like Mourinho's teams back in the day, like George
yeah,
Graham's teams back in the day, you get 1 goal, you're going to win the game. The problem now is if you get 1 goal, you're like, oh, it's not enough. It's like the end of last season. You need 2 or 3 goals to win a game. It's worrying. It's very worrying from those two
Yeah,
games.
it's very worrying, and I think you actually raise very important points. There is the issue of squad depth. There is the issue of players getting tired and burnout. I think those are all relevant and very valid points. And then you have the issue of we're just not scoring goals, and therefore we can't win games, right? What we have seen in the last 5 games is Arsenal going down in games. Aston Villa, we went a goal down and we didn't actually recover from that. Against West Ham, that again, you go down, you don't recover from that. Against Fulham, we go up, there is an equalizer, they go up, and we don't recover. So whenever in the last 5 games, whenever Arsenal have gone down, we don't come back, we don't come back in games. Do you think we also have a mentality problem at the moment? Has the pressure started kicking in this early, in your opinion, or this is nowhere near the title, reason for the title? It's just about us not being good enough at the moment. And if we can figure it out, we will get back, on the road again.
I do feel like it's a bad patch. I don't feel like it's
Yeah,
something that's going to carry on throughout the season. I still personally believe it's a bad patch. It's a long bad patch because
I
when you're in
know.
a
Yeah,
title race, you
yeah.
can't have a bad
So,
patch of 5 games.
and
Too long.
we shouldn't as well forget that December and November have always been like cast months for us. So I mean, we could use that excuse.
Yeah, so it's absolutely not ideal. So the one thing that absolutely annoyed me in the Fulham game is just what you said. West Ham were defending really well. They didn't
Yeah,
have their defenders, but they defended
yeah,
really well. But Fulham before West Ham, before they played us, they had just conceded 5 goals to Fulham and
yeah,
5 goals to Liverpool in the
yeah,
Carabao Cup.
yeah. Yeah,
Fulham before they
it's
played us,
it's
same.
it's it's the same thing with Fulham as well.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
had gone their last 3 games, like they had conceded like 15 goals in the last three, not
Mhm.
scored a goal. West Ham had conceded 10, and somehow we are the guys that just can't make them pay.
So what totally annoyed me in the Fulham game was, as you said, you basically have like 2 chances to bounce back. We started
Yeah,
very well, and I was like, yeah, this is a good response. We're going to have like a
yeah,
3 goal lead, like we did last season at Fulham, and we. Even if we had won that game, I was still in the opinion of we need this break. We need this 3 week break. Let's just get this win, go top of the table, and we need this break. If were playing another game on Wednesday, I'd be worried again. So that Fulham game, when Fulham scored, they scored early, 20 something minutes, and I was like, okay, where's the response? We need to get a goal before
yeah,
halftime, get a 2-1 lead before halftime. There's still a lot of time. There's still a lot of get Saka more into the game, get Odegaard more into the game, get Martinelli more in the game as well. Let's try and do something there. But it was, if anything, apart from that Martinelli chance where Odegaard crossed it and Martinelli put it off target, it was actually looking like Fulham would score. Jimenez another
yeah,
shot that Raya saved.
yeah,
Willian had a shot that just passed the far post. I was like, okay,
yeah,
let's just get to halftime and let's see what they can do. I said, let's get Jesus in from Nketiah early, and or you can take Havertz up front if you don't want to put Jesus early in this one. Put Havertz up front, bring in Trossard, and have Trossard and then Havertz on the pitch at the same time. But you have a whole 45 minutes to respond. And then Fulham go ahead very early as well, like 55th minute, not like
yeah,
80th minute, and then you don't have time to bounce back. This season, we've seen even this month, that December, early December, Luton Barkley scored against us like in the 58th minute, and we were
yeah,
3-2 down. But right
yeah,
away, we bounced back 3-3,
yeah,
and we looked for a winner the whole game, and we got it. That Fulham game, after they scored the second goal, it did not look like we were ever going to score. And the
ever,
sad
yeah,
thing was
ever,
the players I was asking for them to come on, Jesus and Trossard, they couldn't put in a cross. They couldn't even
yeah.
give 2 passes in a row. And that was very, very worrying. So I think it's a combination of many things. I think the players are still young, obviously. That one I do understand. So I do feel like, yeah, maybe sometimes the mentality can be like, oh, no, it's happening again from last
Yeah.
season. What do
Well,
we do? We're expecting to win a lot of
I
games
think
in a row.
the last 2 results could have come from the fact that we have been crumbling a little bit.
Mm.
There might have been short of confidence in the dressing room coming into the West Ham game, and then you lose the West Ham game, and that leads to the Fulham game as well.
Yeah. I think if we beat the West Ham team, I think we also
We beat
probably
Fulham.
beat Fulham.
Yeah,
But
we
the fact that
probably beat Fulham.
we were trying to be so careful and maybe do everything perfect and it didn't work out, cost us badly. And to have 30 minutes and 5 additional minutes on top of that, and not to really create anything substantial at all. Maybe the Saka chance that happened right immediately. Who knows? If Saka scored that, maybe things would have been different. I don't
Yeah.
know. But right after that, it was just easy for Fulham to defend. And that is Fulham, it's not like Fulham have one of the best defenses in the league. And they're all even missing their captain, I think, their the guy who always plays in defense for them, the likes of Tim Rim. They are not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Those
Dream
are
Rim.
like also part
Rim.
of their
Yeah.
second defense. So
Yeah.
they were missing a couple of players in defense as well. So it was very sad that you couldn't like create a lot of chances and put them under pressure, because that's a team that conceded 4 to Liverpool, I think 4-5 to Man City.
Yeah.
They lost to Chelsea, they lost to Man United.
Yeah.
So not putting them under the cosh for those last 30 minutes, at least try and get a draw. If you get a draw, you're third on the table, and then you can
Yeah.
move from there. If you don't win, don't lose. Man City are not losing a lot of games. They are drawing a lot of games, but they're
Yeah.
not losing a lot. So if you draw and draw and draw, those are 2 extra points. Yeah, if we draw both games, we'd be level on points with Liverpool instead of
Liverpool and
losing
yeah and
and
Villa.
Aston Villa. So
So
losing is bad.
yeah. So you think it's not? It's just a rough patch. It's just a bad run, which is going to come to an end. Which is actually I like the positivity. Yesterday I lost all the positivity until I saw Declan Rice going, guys, we have so many games, we can still come back. Don't be negative. And I was like, yeah, you have a point there. I might just come back and support my team because I've done that all my life. So if it's a mentality issue, we had it last season, right? If it is a squad depth issue and burnout issue, how do we go about that? Because burnout and squad depth are like married problems.
Hmm.
January can't fix that because you're not going to have as many as 3, 4, 5 signings. That's
Yep.
impossible. So how do we? How would we approach this? Because if we go into February when there is the Champions League and Premier League, and maybe you're still in the FA Cup if we beat Liverpool, how do we deal with squad depth, which is not there at the moment, and as well the burnout because the games are just coming in thicker and faster.
Now you've said at the beginning you said bad patch. Yeah, I think it's a bad patch in terms of results and a couple of
Mhm.
performances. But for some of players, it's been more than a bad patch.
Yeah,
So
it's been more than a bad patch. Actually,
that's the thing
we'll
as well.
talk about we'll talk about some of my favorite players in this team when we get to the second part of the podcast, the lack of goals, because I have seen horrendous performances from some of these players for almost a whole season now, half a season actually, the
Yeah.
whole half a season, some horrendous performances.
So the first thing we need to do is the players. We still have players on the bench, not the world class best or anything like that, but you do have players on the bench. A lot of
Yeah,
teams have injuries. Yes, we are unlucky not to have Partey. By the way, he's not been picked for the Ghana squad for the AFCON, so he's going
yeah,
to be
yeah,
there hopefully. So we are missing players like Fabio Vieira, Timber. We've been missing Tommy. Yeah, there are players who've been missing. That is the truth. So maybe that is why Odegaard has to play 90 minutes. Maybe that is why Saka has to play 90 minutes. But you still have players there on the bench.
yeah,
There's a way Guardiola rotates. If Guardiola will play Leipzig today, up front will be Doku, Haaland, Bernardo Silva, Foden. The next game, you won't see Foden and Bernardo Silva.
yeah,
Grealish will start on the left side, Doku will be pushed to the right side, and then they'll play two midfielders with Kovacic and Rodri. Next game, Alvarez starts next to Haaland, and then it's Doku who's being rested. So it's very rare. There's like 5 players who will play every single game, like Rodri and those guys, Haaland. But most games, it's heavily rotated. Now, for us, we are really playing like most of the players, most of the games. Like Rice is playing every single game. Maybe they don't have any option. Maybe his plan was to maybe give Timber more game time. Maybe the plan was to help Apache help out Rice in the midfield, but they both got injured, unfortunately. But there's still supposed to be a way to rotate the team. I feel like that yesterday's game, I felt like I wanted Havertz to be back in that team, but I
yeah,
was
true.
thinking play him up front
Yeah,
and then maybe potentially play Rice and Jorginho. In your losing games, maybe just try and calm
and
things
try out
down a bit.
something different.
Even if you
Try to
get
switch it up.
even if you get a 1-0, fine, just get out of there and then you can work on things. Just try and put an end to the to
Yeah,
the to the
actually,
downfall.
actually have you have a very good point because one of the very very good points I saw um, on the reactions, it was on AFTV.
mm,
Someone said that we are so predictable,
mm,
and every team has actually found us out. You double up on Saka, you double up on Martinelli if they are good. At the moment, they're not very good, so you don't need to double up on them. But you
mm.
just double up on those two, and this Arsenal team suddenly can have the ball in the midfield, but it cannot attack you with real purpose and real intensity. So switching up a couple of things would actually help. I remember there's a time when he dropped Kai, played Jorginho and Rice and Odegaard, and somehow that helped Kai Havertz when he came back into the side. He was a much better player. So I kind of agree on that. If we can switch it up a little bit, maybe that's why he wants to be Mendy, Douglas Luiz, Joao Palhinha, and all these other names, just to allow him have a couple of
Mhm.
perspectives, have a couple of things he can work with.
In the Champions League, we've been using Trossard sometimes as a false nine.
Yeah,
Trossard, and Martinelli have been very good in the Champions League
yeah,
for some reason.
very,
All three of
very,
them. Those
yeah,
games against Lonzi, Martinelli cutting in and shooting the ball against Sevilla. Martinelli and Jesus were really good. Even against Lons away before we conceded both goals, they were very good. So that is the first. Give someone like a Jorginho game time, because I think he was playing well for us that time. Odegaard was out, and yeah, we were mixing it up in
yeah,
midfield. Smith Rowe, he's back now. We can't say
yeah.
now he's injured. He's back now. Give him some game time as well. I don't think it can be worse. Even if it means playing him on, if you feel like Trossard cannot play on the left side, Smith Rowe used to play for us for there. He played for us a full season in that position. Smith Rowe. So
And he had a very good return. He had a
he
very
was
good
our best
return.
player. He
Double
was our best
figures in that
top scorer.
position.
Top scorer. He
Yeah,
was a top
top
scorer that
scorer. Yeah, top
season
scorer in the
next to
season.
Saka. Yeah, so give him a chance on that side. Reece Nelson, if you don't want to start him, fine. But every time I was looking at something yesterday, because I usually write down every single game the details per minute, every single minute, and we conceded a goal to Fulham 2-1. Subs come on. We conceded to Liverpool, or Liverpool get a very big chance like the one from Trent. We
Yeah,
make a sub. We make a sub. But most of the games, it's someone scores, Wolves score, we make a sub.
you make a
To
sub.
make it's 2-1, we make a sub. It's
You make a
this
sub.
other
Yeah.
person scores. West Ham in the Carabao Cup, they score third goal, second goal, we make a sub. It's too late. I don't even. I also feel like the likes of Nelson and Smith, it's a bit unfair on them. Like every
Mm.
time, okay, now we're 3-1 down. Come on, come on, come on, come save us. It's never
Yeah.
like, okay, it's 1-1. Nelson, go out there and win us the game. It's
Win
always,
us the
oh, we're
game. Yeah.
3-1 down. Can't try and get us back to the game.
Yeah.
It's too much
And
pressure.
you thought he would believe in Reece Nelson more, because when he
Yeah.
brought him on in games last season, he was more impactful. Tried to win us a couple of games. Actually, he did win us a very, very dramatic Bournemouth game,
Yep.
and he gave him a huge contract, and that's why I don't understand it. Right? Do you think there is an element of the manager doesn't trust these players, the likes of the likes of Ramsdale now, the likes of Emil Smith Rowe now, the likes of uh you know all these players that he's not giving a chance? Do you think it's just about him not trusting them and him going, I want to stay with the players I trust. I don't trust these players at them, enough. If he doesn't trust them, then do we have any depth? I mean, that's the real question.
I don't think he completely does not trust them. I just feel like if he feels like Saka and Martinelli, nah,
Mm,
these guys I'm bringing on, they're not on that level. Like if I take
yeah.
out Saka for Nelson, I mean, some fans would agree. Like if you take out off Saka for Nelson, it's completely different. Or maybe it's the
Mm,
playing style. Maybe they do not fit his playing style. Maybe he wants wingers who are going to cut in like Saka and Martinelli. Doesn't want someone who's too direct like
Gotcha.
Nelson and just keeps running
Yeah.
past players. Maybe he doesn't want that as well. Smith Rowe, I don't know. For Smith Rowe, I'm going to give it a couple. If he stays, I'm going to give a couple of months fast, because maybe it's the injury. Maybe he just feels like, okay, nah, this injury is too much. You can't just bring him on or whatever to save us
Mm,
at this particular time. But if he continues to be on the bench, even in the FA Cup and then Premier League, some of the games, because in January and February, you have a lot of games. If you qualify in the FA Cup, you're going to have a lot of FA Cup games there. You're going to have Premier League, and then midweek, I think we're playing an FA Cup game, and then Nottingham Forest will be in midweek, and then another Premier League game that weekend. There's a lot of chances. So if we make 5 subs every game and Smith is not coming on, then I'll be like, yeah, I think he completely does not trust him.
yeah.
And that is Smith Rowe, Jorginho, Nelson. I'm pretty sure there's another player as well, a couple of them.
Yeah. Because there was a time when Granit Xhaka picked up what was supposed to be a long-term injury,
Hmm.
Was it last season? Last season, but one.
Yeah, the previous season. That's the
The
news.
yeah,
Always
the
over.
previous season. Yeah, and he was always giving us that update. Xhaka is working harder. He's coming back quicker. He's coming back quicker. And the moment Xhaka, he came back like 2 months earlier, and he brought him back into the squad. It shows that he was a player he trusted. It shows that he was a player that he felt would guaranteed security and guaranteed results. Look at Gabriel Jesus as well. He's had a surgery this season, by the way. People might actually forget that, but he had his surgery this season. And the moment he was feeling fair, he's brought him back. So with Emil Smith Rowe, it's either what you've said that we need to watch this space and see how does he react with all this. But when you're losing games and you have such a talented player on the bench, and Trossard, Martinelli, and Kai Havertz are not really flying, to give you a reason that you can't play Emil Smith Rowe because there's so many players that are really on form right now. We've got to ask questions. So I kind of agree with you with all the points you've put out. Burnout could be one of the reasons we are not used to the Champions League, and many people would say that we've not played so many Champions games, but the intensity of those games is the difference. When you're playing in the Europa League, you're going to play some of these teams that will give you a rest. But when you play PSV, Sevilla, and Lens kind of the surprise element there. Um, it was intense, right? The games were really intense. Squad depth, I think we have bottled it in the last summer. We could have spent our money a little bit better. I think we needed a midfielder, and Mikel Arteta knew because we were linked with a couple of midfielders even after Kai Havertz, coming in. I think we have talked about a winger since Rafinha days. We've not brought in one. It's coming back to bite us. So squad depth, we need to work on that, and the mentality parts. I think Mikel, as a young manager, is suffering from that. The team as a young team are suffering from that as well. So we are just going to give it time and say, are we off the title? Are we no longer title contenders? We were never favorites. I think City retained that crown of favorites every single season now. But are we still contenders? Are we still a threat to Liverpool and City?
I mean, if you look online, Man City fans will probably tell you no. Liverpool fans will
Yeah, I
probably
know,
tell
I
you they're
know.
more worried about Man City. But for me personally, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very, very hard. You're going to have to win your games, and you're going to have to hope that the others drop points. Oh, you're going to have to win your games, and you beat Liverpool at the Emirates, and you go to Man City and at least pick up a draw. And then you hope that when Liverpool and Man City play together, they draw something, and then you keep
Yeah.
winning your games. When Liverpool won the title, when Man City beat Liverpool by 1 point in 2018, 2019, Liverpool came the next season, and out of the
Mm.
first like 22 games, they won like 21 of them. They were gone. By the time COVID hit, Liverpool already gone by far. They were on 60 something points, and they were like 10, 15 points ahead of Man City. They were gone. That is what you needed to do. Now, we didn't do that in the first half of the season. What I've been holding on to in terms of the performances and the playing style is last season we started like a train, like very, very quickly.
Yeah,
Second
yeah,
part of the season, March, April, May, we dropped off. I
yeah.
was hoping like this season, maybe he's looked at it and has concluded that, listen, let's start this season slower. And then by the time we hit the new year, we are fresh, and players are not like totally tired and all that.
Actually, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe that could be the reason as well. But there's 2-3 things that make me think like, oh, is that really the excuse though? Because decision making, you cannot tell a player, okay, from August to December, don't make good decisions in the box, Martinelli. Let's wait for
Yeah,
January to May. You cannot tell a player, listen, don't pass the ball this way and that way until January. If it was a
January,
case
yeah.
of, if it's just a case of the way we are playing against Brentford and Man City, like you get a 1-0, like you just defend, you just control the position and get a 1-0, control position, get a 1-0. That we can say we are just playing slowly until January, and it gets to January, players will be going forward and we'll start getting 3-4 goals. That would be fine. But in terms of decision making, you cannot like flip it like that. And also in terms of player resting, usually Guardiola, as I said, he will rest Foden today. Bernardo will play tomorrow. Alvarez will play today. But for us, most of the players have played every single game anyway,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Saka,
That's it.
Rice, Saliba, Gabriel. So if you are being rested, then Saka was, benched for 2 games, then we played Ben White and Gabriel, and then maybe it cost us once. He can tell us, what? We are waiting for the new year. We can't play Saliba and Rice every single game right now. We are
Yeah.
waiting for January. You want to be amongst it, 2 points, 3 points there, or maybe on level points with those teams. And when it gets to January, we changed gears and we completely go forward with we play them 90 minutes to just start winning games completely. I was hoping that would be the case, but at the moment it's not looking like that is the case. It's looking like remember we've got into the 20th game already, and it's been a terrible performance. So I'm still hopeful. The Premier League Twitter account just posted something saying, "What's your bold prediction for 2023, 2024?" And before recording this, I quoted that tweet and I said, Arteta will still lead Arsenal to the 2023, 2024 Premier League title. It's
Yeah.
going,
I
it's
mean,
going, it's going to be very hard.
yeah, it's
We,
bold. That's bold. Now, I'll tell you, when I looked at that performance and I looked at Liverpool's bad games, because they've had some bad games, and I looked at Liverpool coming from a red card and a goal down at Newcastle, that is where I thought we might not be serious title contenders this season. And look, the problem with our squad is it is kind of thin. It looks big, but it is thin with when it comes to realistically how many players you can use, realistically how many players you can call upon on an occasion, right? So we a little bit thin, and Man City are not getting any worse. That is the truth. They've been poor, and they're
Mhm,
poor with a game in hand above us, right? So they're not getting any worse. Kevin De Bruyne is coming back. Erling Haaland is getting back. And if Erling Haaland sparks any kind of form, they just want any kind of form from Erling Haaland. They just want any kind of brilliance from Kevin De Bruyne when he comes back. They're going to be, they're going to be massively better. I don't think they will hit the standards they have hit in the past, but they will still be better than us. With Liverpool, they've already shown us they're better than us. We are lucky to get a point at the Anfield. Every Arsenal fan was celebrating it. I was celebrating it, but we know we were lucky to get a point there. It should have been different. They could have won that game more comfortably. And there's that Declan Rice, moment, but you take that out of the picture. That game is in the back. That ball gets into the back of the net. We are talking about something different. So for me, in regards to the title, mathematically, like Mikel says, I'm going to quote him here. It is not over, right? But when you go into the realistic realm, it's over.
mhm,
Are we going to drop more points? We will. Are we
mhm,
going to be better than the City? Unless otherwise, but I don't think we're going to be. Are we going to be better than Liverpool? Because Liverpool look like a squad that is thin, but Liverpool bring on Curtis Jones, Elliot, and Wataru Endo to replace Soboslai,
mhm.
McAllister, and Gravenbach. Like that is real quality, and that's a lot of players, and they're not playing a lot of intensive games. They'll play one game on a Thursday when they get in the Europa League. As simple as that. Um, you look at their forward line: Gakpo, Darwin Nunes, Salah, Jota. They will lose Salah in January, but I still think they have enough quality to carry them through. So I just don't feel it. I just don't feel it the way I felt it last season. And last season, I was really bought into the idea. I just don't feel it anymore. I just feel like we are really going to struggle between second and fourth. We are 1 point ahead of Spurs, right? That is enough reasons to panic. That's enough reasons for us
I,
to
I,
panic.
I understand. If Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool all won 17 games from now and they beat us by 1 point or something, I'd be able to live with that. It would be painful,
Yeah,
but I'd be able to live with that. What I don't want is for us to like drop off and finish 10
yeah,
points
yeah, yeah,
behind.
yeah,
Now I'm hoping that they have a plan. To me, I've made that bold prediction before the January transfer window. I've made that bold prediction before the break and stuff. If they come out from the winter break and we are still playing the same, then I'll be worried because we have 2 weeks to work on everything. First
yeah,
of all, try and beat Liverpool in the FA Cup, and then after that, go for the winter break, and then come back a different team. And then now Pat is not going to AFCON. Let's hope he can come back to the team and stay fit. Let's hope he can do
yeah.
some business in the January transfer window.
That's
Let's
not gonna
hope
happen.
Timber can, even if it loan deals or whatever. Let's see.
Yeah.
Timber
Now
comes back in and
The January transfer window, I think, will be active. We might be forced to
mm,
be active, but Pat is staying fit. That is
but
uh,
give Jorginho game time as well. Then he doesn't
yeah,
really get
true.
injured that time. And then I think from this point on, we can only really focus on ourselves. We'll need other teams to drop points, but just focus on yourselves. You know, you cannot say
Yeah,
you're going to win the title if you're not winning games. You need to win your games, and then don't even look at the other results. Just keep on winning your games. Forget about Aston Villa, Liverpool, Man City, and then win your games. If I'm sure if we win every single game this year, and we still have the FA Cup and the Champions League, I think people will be able to live with that. They'll be like, okay, he turned things around. But if the form keeps on going, and then we draw at Crystal Palace, and then we draw at Nottingham, and then the next game we lose to Liverpool, and then we win two, and then we draw two. I don't think people will be able to live with that because we have a chance in the January transfer window.
yeah,
Don't play party every single day. Maybe that could be the only difference this time. We have Rice, we have Jorginho. Play him one game, rest him the other game, and keep him fit.
yeah. I also think that we will not drop off. I actually
Mm.
think we will not drop off. Many people have predicted us to go all the way in the Champions League. I've said Arsenal will go to the quarterfinals. I am really, really very, very confident about that. I think
That
we'll
was my
go up
prediction
to,
as well.
yeah,
Quarterfinals.
quarterfinals. After the quarterfinals, that is where the fixtures need character. I don't think that character we've developed yet, right? Because the
Mm.
Champions League is one of those games that just need character, and I don't think we are there yet. But quarterfinals, I think we'll be there. A last point on the title race: if Mikel Arteta right now um, doesn't win it at the end, and we kind of assess him, do you think it would be time to part ways?
For me, I'm far, far away from Atita out.
Yeah, me
But
too.
I'm not just like blindly like, oh yes, even if you lose 100 games in a row, Atita stays. No, no, I'm not like that blindly. There's a word they call it Atita fans, but we're not going to use it here. But um, it depends on how. If we have 18 games remaining, if we lose 14, then questions have you have to think about it. But
Yeah,
if from those 18 games, you win 15, you draw two, you lose one, and then you were there, and then Man City beat you by 1.2 points, I'll be like, okay, but let's look at the other competitions as well. We went out early in the Carabao Cup.
yeah,
What was our performance in the FA Cup? Tough draw, but it's a home game. That's where we are lucky. It's a home game, and we got a point
yeah,
at Liverpool. They won't have Salah. We should win that game.
yeah,
Liverpool are very good, even if they don't have Salah, but it's a game we should be 51%, 49% in terms of winning. We should be
yeah,
winning that game at our place, the Liverpool one, and that is our trophy as well. And Champions League as well. It's FC Port. We've got a manageable draw. After that, as you've said, you could end up getting Bayern or Real Madrid. So it depends on how you go out. If you lose to Liverpool in the FA Cup 3-0 and you're out, and then you face FC Porto, you go there, it happens like it has been happening in the Europa League, and you end up losing 3-1, 3-2 on aggregate to FC Porto, and you go out in the round of 16. That will mean you haven't really reached any expectations.
yeah,
We haven't been in a title race. We didn't pass the round of 16 because both of us were expecting quarterfinals at least. Carabao
yeah,
Cup, I did not expect us to go out that early. I was
yeah.
hoping, I actually
Especially
predicted us
against
to win
West
the
Ham,
Carabao
that
Cup.
yeah, especially West Ham. That's a fixture we usually win.
Mm. So if it doesn't like reach all the four targets that I had, my targets, I had said you're going to win the Premier League worst second. I said you're going to win the Carabao Cup because I thought you were going to have, a decent bench like
Yeah,
Jorginho, Havertz, Trossard. I said the FA Cup, I know at least past the first 2-3 rounds. Champions League reached the quarterfinal. Those are my targets. So at the end of the season, if we were fourth and we went out in the round of 16 and we went down to the first one in the FA Cup, then maybe a conversation needs to be had as well.
definitely. I'm not Arteta out at the moment. I'm not Arteta out at the end of the season, even if he lost every single game right from here. I'm not. I've seen the idea. I've seen the trust that the Cronk is actually having him. And it's one of the reasons why I really, really want to hide behind his back. He's the only manager that we've seen backed by the Cronkies, like all the way. Declan Rice, Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, even some of those transfers that you think didn't make any sense. They backed him. They trust him, and they're happy with him. David Ornstein was saying that at the moment, Arsenal are on the verge of FFP problems, but the Cronkies are really happy with him, and they're really happy with the with where the squad is. So I would keep him. I'd keep him for like the next 5 years. And after those 5 years, I would assess. I would look at it and I'm like, if he
I
keeps
think they
me in the
will.
Champions League, if he keeps us in the Champions League, I would keep him.
Mm.
I would keep him because I don't think there are so many managers out there that are going to come in and they're going to talk or whatever they are talking, and the Cronkies are going to believe them. I don't know what he's told them, possibly because he's been a recent Arsenal player or something like that. They really believe in him, and I'm
I
really
mean the
having
project. I mean the project up to now. It has been great. Like we've been
yeah,
able to
yeah,
clear away
yeah,
all the players that we didn't want. We've been able to, most of the players, at least 97% of the players Arsenal fans really love, right? Saliba, Saka,
yeah.
and all those guys. We don't really have. I know there's a couple that people don't really like, but
Cedric,
yeah, most of them Arsenal fans really, really love. We've also
yeah,
gotten ourselves back in the Champions League. We've also gotten ourselves back to where people are actually having conversations about us competing with Liverpool and Man
yeah,
City. People are actually we are the fourth favorites to win the Champions League. So getting into that position is really done a huge job to get us back into that position with a very young team and a very young manager in his first job. He's done an incredible job. So all that is where like I'm like, okay, let me just give you the whole of this season, and then at the end of the season you'll see how things turned out. If they went completely horribly bad, then we can have conversations. But anyway, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Even if we ended up finishing fourth and go out to the Champions League, I think it's still going to be here next season. So we might as well try and find out. I know the fans, if the fans completely turn, then things can change. But like the way they did with Potter at Chelsea.
yeah,
But it depends. It depends on in it. We need to, like, if he's not going to be sacked, because I don't think he's going to be sacked for the people who want him to be sacked at the end of the season or whatever. We need to like try and find other solutions. Then what do we need to do? What did he do wrong here? What does he need to change? And then most people call him arrogant, including opposition fans and all that. Maybe change a few things and let's see
yeah.
what can work. Because you've had a very good season last season, and this season, at least half of it, we are picking up good results. We've beaten Man City this season. We've gone to Anfield, and we've had some good results this season as well. Let's build on that. Let's not throw away this season. It's not over completely. So let's see how it is at the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So we have a problem: lack of goals. Arsenal are not scoring goals. We have scored less goals than Brighton. We have scored less goals than Tottenham Hotspur. We have scored less goals than anyone in the top five, and defensively we have been good, but we cannot say, well, we are compensating the lack of goals with the defense, because we've lost a couple of games where we feel like if Arsenal stepped up their game just a little bit in terms of finishing, they win this game. Aston
Yeah.
Villa at the Villa Park, that's a very good example. Martin Odegaard, two good chances, he buries those two chances, Arsenal win the game. So there is a lot of there's lack of consensus among the fan base and among the pundit bodies on why Arsenal are not scoring goals. I mean, some people are saying that it's the lack of, it's the departure of Granit Xhaka. Other people are saying we lack a striker, and everyone says it's just because Arsenal have been found out. Either way, the consensus is that it is hurting us. The consensus is that the lack of goals means that we can't hit the standards we can be at. And Mikel Arteta has actually said it very openly. They've asked him, "Do you think we can win the league?" He said, "Not at the way we are playing at the moment. Not at the way we are, affecting both boxes. In the opposition penalty area, we are not doing enough. So we cannot win the title at the moment unless we change that." So the lack of goals. What is your main highlight, and what is your main, reason you've highlighted and you've gone? I think this is the problem. I think this is why goals have dried out, and if we fix this, we are better.
that is a topic of conversation, man. Right?
A
I
lot,
think it's a
a
I think
lot
it's
of
a
conversation.
I think it's a couple of reasons. The obvious one is some of the games we are missing a lot of chances. Brighton one, Wolves game, and recently against West Ham, yeah, missing a lot of chances.
Yeah,
Sometimes you look at Saka and you're like, my goodness, he's worked so hard there and he's put in a cross, and poor finishing.
yeah,
Poor finishing as well. Saka against Liverpool, through one on one. If the ball falls to Martinelli, Alisson is
Yeah,
on the floor, he puts it off
yeah,
target.
yeah,
Against yesterday against Fulham, Saka, that's he had time to actually take that ball down and put it in the far post.
yeah,
Too quick,
yeah,
too quick in decision making in the box. And a lot of players, you can go to Havertz missing against Man United, you can go to Jesus missing against Tottenham. Early in the
yeah,
season, it could have been 2-0 up in that game
yeah,
before Tottenham, before Son scored.
yeah.
It's every player.
Odegaard
You
as
can
well.
Odegaard against Aston Villa, terrible
Yeah,
finishing, and those are the players who are scoring goals last season.
yeah,
So if you just look at that, the obvious solution is a striker. Get a striker. We are missing too many chances. Get a striker. It's just the chances that we're missing. We are creating a lot of chances.
yeah.
But then again, there's a couple of games like Fulham and all that you're like, okay, we are creating enough chances.
Enough.
There's
Yeah.
teams.
It's dead.
Is it because teams respect Arsenal these days and they're packing the bus? Yes, half of it is like that. Yeah, teams are now respecting us and they're packing the bus. But still, some of those teams we are meant to. We are supposed to be able to break them down. It's not supposed to be that hard because we have a lot of options in terms of doing that. So when you look at that as well, that's a different reason. It's not just poor finishing; it's that we're not creating enough. Now, Jacques was a big, big, big factor in our build-up for sure. Like if you watch all the goals from last season,
Yeah.
Tottenham,
He was
all those
involved
guys
somehow.
involved a lot. We were moving the ball quicker, and it's not just because of Xhaka. Saka moving the ball quicker. Even Ben
Quicker.
White was
Yeah.
bombing forwards. Zinchenko was getting into the midfield more quicker. Odegaard was passing the ball quicker. Odegaard was just
Quicker.
getting a bit of space here, like against Tottenham and Odegaard and Newcastle shot goal
Yeah.
from
Short.
outside the
Absolutely.
box.
Yeah.
Jesus was getting himself into positions like he did against Brentford. Even Ketia was getting himself into positions like he did against Man United last season. Martinelli was not scared of like cutting in and just shooting the ball. This season, I feel like Odegaard is holding on to the ball too much.
Yeah.
Martinelli is staying on the wings too much,
Too
like
much
like
as
Pepe.
well. Yeah.
Pepe, that's the one thing I used to hate about Pepe's game. He used to stay on the wing too much,
Too much. Yeah.
too much. Like I need to see you inside. I need to see you one on one with the goalkeeper sometimes. Like we saw Saka against Liverpool. I need you guys to get those chances. That chance that Martinelli got against Sevilla one-on-one and passed the goalkeeper. I've never seen him getting a one-on-one chance like that ever again. I need to
Again.
see
Yeah.
that. It could be because players like low blocking us and all that, and you're not able to pass the ball through. But again, you look at a game like Aston Villa. Aston Villa play a high line
A high
and
like
too
Alexander
many.
Zichenko played that
Mhm.
ball over their high line like 100 times, and
And
every single time that ball dropped on Kai Havertz, he cut it back. It fell onto an Arsenal player, and they missed the chance.
they missed it. Decision making as well from the bench in a game like that. As I said in the back five podcast a couple of weeks ago, I want Nelson's pace in that particular game.
Yeah.
Bring on Nelson, let him run, not Trossard in the particular game. So
Yeah.
it's a combination of poor finishing, a manager not trusting the players on the bench, and a few poor decisions, not being able to open them. Now, solutions. If you talk about Saka, let's say Saka is being double marked or triple marked. That is fine.
Yeah.
Saka is being marked by 2, 3 players. We're 11 players versus 11 players. It's not like the
Yeah.
position have 14 players. So if
Yeah.
3 players are marking Saka, that means there's 2 players who are open. It's
Yeah,
not that
yeah,
hard. It's
yeah,
2 players
yeah,
who are open.
absolutely. And it's something that I've seen very recurring when Arsenal decide to play the ball into Saka, like we've done this season. It doesn't matter how many times he wastes it. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter how many times he doesn't do nothing productive. We just play the ball into him. As simple like that. Like that is what we do. He's our key man. He's our key player. I understand that, but the fact that he's our key man also means that we can have a bit of joy on the
Yeah.
other side where he's not. But
Mm.
we just keep on playing the ball into him. We lose
Yeah.
it. We bring it back and we play him into we play it into him again.
If that's the case, then he needs to be able to like move it quicker, pass it to Odegaard and
Yeah,
move get to the other side very quickly. Now the thing with Saka as well, I don't know if it's because he gets fouled a lot and all that. He gets fouled a lot. Maybe this one is a bit scared of getting injuries since he got injured before the Man City game. He's cutting in too much. Take the
a lot,
you know take
a
on the
lot.
defender like you used to
Yeah,
cross the ball
a
with the
lot.
right foot. You can do
Yeah.
that as well. That's another option.
I've actually taken a long time without seeing him, this kind of trademark cross of him. He literally lies to the defender as if he's, cutting in, and then he just goes in and brings in that, that cross. And because
In
the right foot is his weaker foot, that cross literally is doesn't have a lot of power, so it just falls in between the goalpost, and it's a very, very good cross that he was doing last season. He's no longer doing it. He doesn't take on players. He's no longer receiving that ball on the half turn. He waits wide, very wide. He gets that ball from Odegaard or or Partey, sorry, or Rice, and then he plays it back into Ben White. He plays it back into Martin Odegaard.
If you look at even basketball, if you look at like even someone like a Steph Curry, he's very good at 3 pointers. So whenever he
Yeah,
has the ball, there's like two players running to him.
we have two
But
players around him. Yeah,
that always means there's 5 against 5. That always means there's someone who is open. So
yeah,
that's he has the skill to get the ball to that player, get to the player who is open, and something is going to happen. If there's 2 players marking Saka and 2 players marking Odegaard, okay, so let's say the left back is marking Saka, and the left midfielder has also gone to mark Saka.
Saka. Yeah,
And then that leaves Odegaard open. If the defensive midfielder comes to mark Odegaard, and this one of the centre backs is also a bit scared of his creativity and comes back to mark Odegaard, that means the number 8, whether it's Havertz or Rice pushing forward, one of them is free. Get the
it's
ball
free.
to
Yeah,
them quicker. And the ball, it's no, it's an effect. If it gets to Havertz or Rice, the other centre back is going to push to them. That means Martinelli is open on the left side, and we did that a lot last season. Like even against Liverpool, the first 1 minute of last
yeah,
season,
yeah.
Saka had the ball to Odegaard. Liverpool's defense was a bit confused. Through pass to Martinelli was free goal.
Goal.
Even
And
earlier
even
this season,
actually, and the second goal, because literally Martinelli runs with it on the left hand side. Liverpool overload it, just plays it on the right hand side. Saka is
Saka,
there alone, easy
right.
tapping.
Yeah, quicker football. That's the other thing. Quicker football. So if Saka is being double marked to double teamed with Martinelli as well, find a way to get Rice into the forward positions as well. Or if you feel like Rice is just a competitive midfielder, just get someone else. Whether it's the number 8, Havertz, or someone to get into that position and
Yeah,
try and do something. Because there's someone who's always going to be in space. But if that is the case as well, you need to be quicker in the game. Yesterday, another thing that was really annoying me was how slow we were. Trossard to
ah,
Saliba to Gabriel. I'm looking at the time ticking. I'm like, we only have 20 minutes to score 2 goals, too slow. Quick passes like we are used to. Quick pass. Like
yeah,
the Lons game, the 6-0. That's how we're supposed to be playing, not throughout the game. It's impossible to
yeah,
play like that throughout the game.
yeah.
But even for a spell of 20 minutes, quick football
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Saka,
That's
through
enough.
pass.
That's enough to win you a game. The Brighton
Absolutely
game as
enough.
well.
The Brighton game as well, quick passes and all that. And too slow in the game, too slow in the game. So I think it's Saka is being double teamed, but you need to find a solution in terms of that. Whether it's bringing the ball back to midfield and switching it to the other wing, or ask the right back, whoever it is. We've seen Tomiyasu and Ben White getting assists. Ask them, listen, let's stay with the back 3. Whoever is there with the left back stays back. Whoever is playing there, whether it's Tomiyasu and you have Ben White on the other side, tell Ben White to go forward, help Saka, or maybe not even get the ball to you, just give the left back something else to think about so that Saka gets enough space. But the problem is, again, we don't see Ben White going forward that a lot of times this season. And Rice is, just a combative midfielder, but he can go forward and shoot the ball. We've seen him doing
Yeah,
that. And sometimes whoever is playing in the number 8 position is a bit quiet. Havertz, Trossard, most of them playing in that position, they've been too quiet. So we need to find a way to move the ball quicker. Jesus, get in the box and get into the box. When you don't have possession, you can come back to midfield and try and get the ball. But whenever you have the ball, get in the box. That was against I think it was against West Ham. We were having the balls in the wing and there was no one in the box. And I was like, that is where people are like, they were saying Havertz was being missed. That particular thing. I was like, there's no one in the box. Just get someone in the box because we have a lot of possession and there's no one in the box. You're going to have to cut it back and it becomes too predictable. So last season, we were playing a lot of different styles. We were moving to Xhaka, ball quick to Martinelli, goal. Odegaard, through pass, goal. Odegaard could have a shot from outside the box. Odegaard could pick out Saka. Saka could dribble past a few players and he could have a shot as well. Also have a shot. It can hit someone and going like he did against Man City. I see a
Manchester
lot
City.
of players
Yeah,
to missing a lot of chances these days. And finishing, Martinelli, work on your finishing. Jesus, work on your finishing. Saka, work on your finishing. Odegaard, he shoots the ball like 2 or 3 times every game from
yeah,
outside the box, and at least 2 of them go off target.
yeah,
Work on that. We know you have the qualities. Those players have the qualities. They are young. They are supposed to be improving, not going down. So we know those
Absolutely,
players.
absolutely.
I'm very sure they can do better than that. All of them. There's other solutions as well. We were scoring a lot of set pieces last season. This season, Saka and Trossard cannot get the ball past the first man.
Yeah, by the way.
We
Yeah.
cannot be getting 10 corners every single game, and we are not. You're not even
We're
getting a
scoring
header trick
none.
because of poor corners. That is another strong point of ours. Use the set pieces. If you're getting 10 set pieces per game, use them. Put in good crosses. I've also seen Declan Rice taking a couple of free kicks, and I don't know where that came from. Just let Odegaard take the free kicks like he did
Yeah.
against Liverpool, and Saka, Trossard, Martinelli improve on the corners as well, because that could be a factor as well. And get the ball in the box. Sometimes it also doesn't have to be perfect. Take a shot. We can't have almost 80 touches in an opposition box and
Yeah.
like 6 shots on target or something. No, we
Yeah.
need a better quality than that. So those are things that can be improved.
Yeah. Yeah,
Those shots on
absolutely.
target.
So last campaign, the issue was Arsenal don't defend well, but we
Mm.
played transitional football and we played um and we were very clinical. And I think that is where the scare is coming from. So right now we are not playing a lot of transitional football because clubs actually sitting back. They've realized we are not at the same level as Arsenal. When you try to go to toe to toe with them, they'll rip you apart. So we better give them respect. Do you think we need to change the way we play in order for us to get rid of this goal drought, like playing with a dedicated number 10? Because when you're playing a low block, then you need to have players that are dedicating their time to actually breaking the low block. And we're not doing that enough. It's only Odegaard that's trying to, play these balls through. You see, Saka and Martinelli are staying wide, so they're not trying to penetrate the defense and the opponent. They're literally staying wide and they're trying to stretch. But you cannot stretch 11 players. They're going to stay compact. So do you think we need to change? Maybe a 4-2-3-1. Odegaard drops into the 10, or Kai Havertz drops into the number 10, and then we know we have a guy that is going to be, playing those Ozil, Chess Fabregas balls all the time. Like, could it be one of the solutions?
I think we need to be unpredictable. We also just like can't change and play like that every single game.
Yeah,
Need to
true,
be
true.
different. Now, one of the styles that we were playing last season, and I don't know if it's possible this season, because last season we had Tierney and Xhaka who could do that. Martinelli was getting himself into the box, and Xhaka was the one putting crosses from the left wing. He was on the left
Mm,
wing, and Martinelli could get himself in the box. Like, for example, the goal against Man United last season, then Nketiah, and to equalize, it was Xhaka who put in that cross. Martinelli was in the box, and Xhaka was the one on the left wing, and I think Tierney Zinchenko was behind him or something like that. That is one style. I think I agree with you. I don't think it's just as easy as in okay, fine. Saka, let's check out Jesus this one, bring in Getty. I don't think it works. You need to, as you said, you need to change a few things.
yeah,
Twist a few things. Formation could be one of them. You can do that. You can have a dedicated number 10 and just listen. First of all, we defend well. Have two players there in the pivot. One of them helps with Zinchenko, whoever is playing at the left back. If he pushes forward, someone else goes and helps there. Odegaard, be the creator. Get the ball to Odegaard, be the creator. He can pick out passes. If you look at his games and you look at the stats every single game, he has a lot of key passes and big chances created. That could be one solution. Change the formation. Another formation he can change to is what I tried to do after we went 2-1 down yesterday. We went to a back three with Gabriel, Saliba, and Tomiyasu.
yeah,
Maybe we can start a game like that, the way Guardiola does. Guardiola also changes. Sometimes he just plays a back four with centre backs only. Sometimes he moves towards the midfield and he has three defenders instead. Sometimes he just plays a back four, normal back four, Walker, Ake, Akanji,
yeah,
Diaz, and no one goes forward, whatever. No one inverts, just the same like that. Need to change things around. Sometimes you can play a back three because that can allow someone like a Martinelli to get into the box more. If you play Gabriel, Saliba, and Tomiyasu in the back three, and then you have a pivot there in front of them, two players in Rice and let's say Jorginho. You tell the defender stay back. Gabriel, Saliba, Tomiyasu just stay back. Don't move anywhere. Just stay as the back three. Rice and Jorginho, whoever is there, you tell them one can push forward, one stays. Rice, you're very mobile more than Jorginho. If
yeah,
we kind of the opposition gets the ball, Rice you can go and cover left back like
yeah,
Xhaka did, or Rice you can go and cover right back, and then we can push to a back four. And then if you have those five players there, that means you can have five forward players. You can actually say, okay, I'm going to play a 3-2-3-2, three defenders, two holding midfielders, and then
yeah, yeah,
three like creative midfielders, And
Yeah.
then you play two forwards, and one of those forward on the left side couldn't be Martinelli. So it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be on the wing. On that wing, you can play someone else. You can start with
Yeah.
Trossard. You can start with Nelson. You can go with Nelson even for a couple of games and tell him, listen, it's very hard work there because you're also going to need to come back, but you have the pace. You have to come back as well. But you're
Yeah.
going to be on the wing. Put in the crosses. Martinelli's in the box. Jesus is in the box. Odegaard is there in the number 10 position. Saka's on the other side. And all of a sudden, it's a different thing for the players to think about because they know if they double team Saka, there's Odegaard there. There's two players in the box now. There's Jesus and Martinelli or Nelson on the left side as well. It doesn't have to be those specific players. Those front two can be Jesus and Havertz together. If you don't want, you can keep Martinelli on the left. That is fine, but switch it up sometimes. Play Martinelli and Jesus up front. Have Odegaard in the 10. Have Smith Rowe in the 10 sometimes. That 3-2-3-2 formation, I really like it as well. Yes, maybe defensively, that is not a formation you'd play against Liverpool, obviously, away from home or Man City, because you're
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
exposed sometimes because they're going to have a lot of the ball as well. But in a game where the position is just going to defend the entire second half, like West Ham did, change something up at halftime. I'm a bigger fan of Arteta than Emery, but that is something Emery used to do a lot. He used to make a lot of
Yeah. A
halftime
lot. Yeah.
substitutions. He used to
Yeah.
change things very, very quickly. So
Quickly. Yeah.
do that
Yeah.
sometimes.
And his game is about goals. His game
Mhm.
is about open. Like it's
Yeah.
open.
So play a front too sometimes because we get the
Yeah.
ball on the wing so many times and there's no one in the box. So have those
Yeah, but
two players in the box.
I've actually thought about it as well. Like I've thought about a 4-4-2, and I think I was doing a video on Ivan Toney and one of the
Mm,
ways Arsenal could actually benefit from him. And I said if you play a 4-4-2 or you play a 3-5-2,
mm,
it could be beneficial to us because you have two players up top. We've not had that like since maybe Arsene Wenger days, probably, or Unai Emery days.
mm,
So you could play a 3-5-2, you could play a 4-4-2. A 3-5-2 has helped Inter Milan a lot, like really a lot.
mhm.
They play as many midfielders as they want, as
Yeah.
they play, a
And
stronger defense, and then you have
DeMarco
Lautaro Martinez.
Dumfries, yeah, very good
Yeah,
at the wing
yeah,
backs.
definitely. So I think two strikers up top could solve the problem, but then I also think training, just training,
Mm.
like in one of my videos, I think it was yesterday, I said, can you just put these players in front of an empty net and see if they can finish it? Because at the moment there is no evidence they can. So I think the coaching and the training has got to become, I think, more intense, right? Because we are conceding set pieces. We were not last season. We are not scoring set pieces. We were scoring set pieces last season. We are not taking open play chances. We were actually taking open play chances last season. So maybe the training has to be reviewed. The coaching has to be reviewed. They've got to go into a deep session, especially now that we have the international break coming up. Where have we done it wrong? What's going amiss, and then probably we can actually see what
It's
is
actually
what,
it's actually a winter break, so maybe they have a plan of maybe there are rumors that they will be going to Dubai together to train
yeah,
there
yeah,
or another
Dubai,
trip.
yeah,
That is
yeah,
enough time. 2 weeks is enough.
yeah,
Don't look at the table because teams like Man City and Aston Villa are playing before us, so
yeah,
there could be like 5-6 points ahead of us. Just go and do your training, get a couple of players in the transfer window that we'll talk about as well, and just change something. If you want to stick with the same formation, know how to change things around. Sometimes play the
yeah,
inverted fullback, sometimes have the inverted fullback at the right back. I don't know. Maybe Timber was a huge part of his team and he got injured, unfortunately. Maybe Tomiyasu and Partey were huge. But listen, Partey is now almost back, and Tomiyasu is back for maybe a week before he goes off as well. Try and change something. If it's not working, don't just make the obvious subs. It's most of the time it's Nketiah for Jesus, Trossard for Martinelli. That's what it usually is every single game. Like you can very easily predict the subs. So Tomiyasu for Zinchenko, that's it. Change the things around, surprise them, go to a front two, something that the opposition manager does not expect, and
yeah,
you can open them up because we have very good players. Or he helps. Have Martinelli being helped with someone, or Nelson helping Saka on the other side, whichever. Push Saka and Martinelli to the midfield, or to the like closer to goal, not just on the wings or something.
yeah. Let us know in the comment box below what you think about the goal drought at Arsenal. Why are we not scoring goals? Why are we looking at a struggling Martinelli, a struggling Saka, a struggling Gabriel Jesus in front of goal. We know we do not have an Ivan Toney Haaland, but we should be scoring more goals given the chances we are creating and their quality. So let us know in the comment box below. Glenn, the January transfer window is open, and that means that there is a chance for us to do our homework if we have not yet done that, and correct the squad. I am really, really pissed with all the reports coming out, and they're really coming from reliable outlets. The Arsenal's priority is a defender, and I know you might agree with this. Uh, because listen, Mikel is a good manager. He's looking at this squad and he's gone, I need a defender. First and foremost, where are our priorities in this January transfer window? Where are your priorities in this January transfer window?
Has to be a striker. Last season, I
It
said that we
has to
didn't really
be.
need. Last season, I said we didn't really need a striker, but we had proof. We were scoring a lot
Yeah,
of goals last season.
yeah,
We
yeah,
broke our record in terms of Premier League goals. Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard were all scoring goals. So I didn't know it was going to get to this level. So right now, the priority is obviously forward players. We are short in defense. Yes, I think we still need a defender. Because if Saliba, like for example, yesterday got that red card to keep him out for 3 games, then what do you do? If you play Ben White and Gabriel at centre back, who's going to play at right back? You're going to have to play Cedric 3 games because Tomiyasu is about to go, and one of those games would have been Liverpool that Saliba misses. It would have been dreadful. Gabriel and Saliba, should not be playing every single game. Man City, the centre back did not play every single game. Today it's Diaz and
yeah,
Ake, tomorrow it's Akanji and Diaz, tomorrow it's Ake and Stones. They change, people rest. So that is how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have 3 or 4 centre backs playing. Kivio for me should be playing as a centre back, not as a left back. I know we are short in that position, so I'd be very willing to get a full back. I'm happy to get a full back. A fullback, preferably, who can play left or right side. We're not going to get explosive players like Frimpong from Leverkusen and Grimaldo from Leverkusen and players like that who are absolutely incredible wing backs who are scoring 10 goals already this season. You're not going to get those players.
yeah,
But we were linked to players like Max Aarons and all those guys, such a level. Just a backup fullback or someone going to come and give them competition left back and right back. Then that will allow Kivio not to be playing as a fullback. He can help
yeah,
Gabriel and Saliba as the centre backs. And maybe that can also allow, when Tomiyasu and Timber back, that can also allow Ben White to focus more on the on the centre back positions and help out Saliba. That was what I was thinking at the beginning of the season. In my head, like everyone is fit. We start with Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, and Timber. That is what I was thinking. And then on the bench, you have Tomiyasu, you have Kivio to come on, you have Ben White to come on. That is what I was thinking. But obviously, the injuries kind of cost us. I do feel like we need a fullback, yes, depending on how long Tomiyasu is going to be at the Asian Cup and Timber with the injury. So fullback, get a fullback. But I don't think that's a priority.
yeah.
We need to get one, but it's not like get one before this one. We need to get a striker like before we play Crystal Palace in 3 weeks'
Yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah. That is what I thought, and I said it early in the morning today that if there is anything we can do to boost our squad, is to get in a striker before 20th January. That is when we play Crystal Palace in an early kickoff. I think so. It would be on a Saturday. If we can do that, that's going to be really helpful to the squad. That's going to be really lifting. Because
So
imagine bringing in a striker that scores a winner or scores two against Crystal Palace. That, I mean, everyone will feel the problem is solved. Our problem has been scoring goals. The problem is solved. Everyone will believe again.
get a striker, get a midfielder, get a
Yeah,
fullback. A
yeah,
midfielder will allow players. I know we can get in FFP situation, but if not, and the likes of Smith Rowe stay, start using Smith Rowe on the left wing. He
yeah,
used to play there for us. Start using them there. This new midfield that you're going to have, play him, play Havertz, play Rice, play Odegaard. Let them rotate every single game,
yeah,
and also use Nelson as well to help out Saka some games with Martinelli. And then if you have Smith Rowe there helping out as well, and Trossard is there as well, let's not forget about him. If every single player stays and you get 3 players, that should help. That will help us a lot. If you get a fullback and you get a midfielder and you get a striker, and then the likes of Timber come back, that will help us a lot. But use the
Yeah,
players
true.
that you also have on the bench, Jorginho, Trossard, and all those guys.
Yeah.
Striker doesn't have to be 200 million to get a striker.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the point. I've done my realistic transfer targets for Arsenal,
Mm.
and I've said Girassi, Sahu Girassi, is 17.5 million euros, a release clause that can be triggered in January, and everyone is all about it.
I actually
Um,
didn't know about the release clause. So for someone who
yeah,
scored that many goals in Bundesliga already, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And this actually, this is a guy that Marcus Thuram was free on the summer, and we didn't take that opportunity. So the Girassi one, um, has shown itself. If he comes
Mhm.
in and is better than Eddie Nketiah, you keep him, you let go of Eddie. And if it doesn't work out, he's a young striker, he's a promising striker. Someone will be willing to pay above 20 million, and you can ship him off.
Mhm. So players like that, I'm even open. If that's the case, then you can even get him in Solanke, but that would
Yeah,
mean like Nketiah goes.
yeah,
3 weeks ago we did a video with Cossy talking about Tony Solanke and all that,
yeah,
and Cossy was very clear on not wanting Solanke. But
yeah,
then I've watched him since then. He scored a hat trick. He scored a couple. I was like,
yeah,
can it be worse? You can at least put in the ball there and he can head
yeah,
the ball. It's not going to be a
yeah.
starter every single game,
Yeah,
but
that's the
it's
point. That's the
something
point.
different.
It can't be worse. It can't be
Yeah,
worse. Like, unless that you're bringing in, like, I don't know, Javino, a specialist at missing chances, it can't be worse.
yeah, it can be worse. So someone like that, and there's a lot of strikers in the world, and not all of them are going to cost you 200 million. I mean, in this team, something that we've done very well is to get cheap players that are very good. Odegaard
Yeah,
will start 30 million.
30
He's
million.
now very, very good. Martinelli from nowhere is now very,
Yeah,
very good. Trossard was only 20 something million. Tomiyasu
yeah,
is 20,
very good.
20 something million as
Yeah.
well. Very good. So it's not
Saliba is 30
Saliba.
something as well.
Very, very good as
Gabriel,
well.
actually.
Gabriel,
Yeah,
same
Gabriel
as
as
well.
well.
So we have a
Yeah,
lot of players who are very cheap and they've been very good. It
yeah,
doesn't have to be 50 million like Ben White. It doesn't have to be 60 million, 65 million like Havertz. It doesn't have to be 105 million like
yeah,
Rice. You can get players, and that is something that I've always said. I trust. They've made a couple of bad signings. Yes, I do agree. The Lokongas and the Tavares and all those guys, but most of them have been good signings. Most of them have
yeah,
changed the direction of Arsenal. Can you
yeah,
get us a couple more in January? Let's not wait until the end of the season.
yeah,
We still have a chance. The season is not over.
yeah. I've actually thought about Hugo Ekitike because he's struggling at PSG. Come on, there is Randall Colomwani now. There is
Ramos.
Gokaro Ramos. Yeah. So Hugo Ekitike could be. I don't know. I do not know his level. Like, I've not followed him as a striker the way I've followed Randall Colomwani and all these guys, other guys. But I mean, do you think he could do the job? Do you think he's one of those cheap options out there on loan that can come in, score for you like 7-10, and maybe be a difference?
If it is my choice, I'd even get two strikers. You get someone like, as you said, like a Guirassy who's proved himself this season for Stuttgart, and then you can get someone like that, like a backup option.
Yeah, backup option. Yeah,
But that would be Nketiah goes. Now, it depends on how much money we're getting from Nketiah. That just depends on that. If it's like
yeah,
15 million, as I said, I'd rather keep him, not for this season, not to start games, but to be like our third choice striker.
yeah,
Come on in the FA Cup, come on in the league, a few games here and there to give rest the likes of Jesus, just for this season. But if it was like an option, like get two strikers, like when we were winning titles back in the day, I know football has changed. Those days it used to be a 4-4-2 and everything. But as I
yeah,
said, if we are going to play for two strikers up front a couple of games, we used to have Wiltord, Henry, Kanu, Bakam, all four of them.
yeah,
We used to
yeah,
have before that the likes of Ian Wright as well in the team.
yeah,
You can have 4 or 5 strikers and you can win the league like that. It doesn't have to
yeah.
be
No,
one striker.
actually, football has not changed so much because there was a
Mm,
time when Inter Milan had, Dzeko, they had Lautaro Martinez. Actually, previously to that, they had Romelu Lukaku,
mhm.
Lautaro Martinez. I think they had another striker, and I'm like, how do they do it? How do they have many strikers around? And they just keep on getting better. But it's what big
Yeah,
big teams do, right?
you
You
use
can
you use all
attract
of them.
them, yeah.
Mhm.
So bring them. right?
Use all of them. Someone just a different idea of a striker, someone you can put in the cross and you can, get there and battle players. It doesn't have to
Yeah,
be 150 million. And if we can convince Brentford, as you say, to get a loan deal, I know
yeah,
it's going to be very hard
yeah.
because
Very,
they've
very,
now
very
lost like
difficult.
6 games in a row. So if they sell him and they don't have Mbemo as well, they're going to be in a bit of trouble. But let's not also pretend like Toney and Osimhen are the only strikers in the world. There's not too many
Yeah,
world class strikers, but it's not like world class striker. We can get a world class striker in the summer, but for now we just need someone different. You remember when
yeah,
Giroud used to come on for us? There's a time we were losing 1-0 at Old Trafford. Giroud came on,
yeah.
header, 1-1 from a
And
Chamberlain cross.
Chamberlain
Yeah.
with the assist and Giroud
There's a
with the
time we were
equalizer.
losing to Bournemouth 3-0.
Yeah,
Sanchez and Giroud were both on. Giroud came on, Sanchez, I think, came on. We were losing 3-0. We are putting in crosses. Sanchez
yeah.
scored from a header. Giroud scored a last minute header as well. Such, like someone you can just bring on in the
I
last
think
20, 30 minutes.
another time when there's Lucas Perez scored a brace. We were
Mm,
losing to again. Was it Bournemouth again?
Bournemouth, yeah.
3-1, and
Yeah.
he scored a brace, and we
Yeah.
we we we, we got a point.
Exactly, something like that, just something different. Even we laugh at Bentner and Shamak and those guys, but Bentner, the last 10 minutes of the game, if you brought him on, he used to
Yeah,
get those last minute headers, like
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that. Doesn't have to
yeah. You
be
could feel
something
something.
different because we have
Yeah,
like Saka puts in so many crosses, Martinelli puts in crosses, Zinchenko, Odegaard can all. We get so many free kicks and corners, just something different, just to help us through the season because you're going
yeah.
to need a lot of different things. You're going to score from set pieces. You need a striker. I like Gurasi because he can run in behind. And is that tall, lanky striker who can just run behind and shoot the ball. He can cut in and score with his left foot, something like that, something just different.
Yeah, I mean there are players like Daniel Malen. I don't know. I don't rate him as a
Mm.
striker. I look at him as a winger, but he's changed agents, and Fabrizio says that he wants to work in January. So that could be another guy. Dortmund have Nicolas Fulkrug at the moment, so you might actually think about the other striker. I think it's the one they got from Ajax.
Ale.
Um, Hella as well. I mean, he won't be. I think he will be enough AFCON in January. But if you could, do the
Mhm.
deal, and then he comes in for the rest of the season, I think he's a decent guy. I think he gives you, he gives you options as well.
Yeah.
Now, you said you would bring in three. Three would be enough. Fullback, midfield, and then up top. I think that's kind of that's kind of enough. Do you think the FFP situation we are in now could actually affect our transfer window? And do you think it could affect it to the extent that we see no signings at all? Because I've seen reports that us they're expecting a quiet window. They are afraid of FFP. They're waiting until the summer when some money comes in from selling players and Champions League and TV rights and everything when everything has been totted up. Are you afraid? Are you concerned that we might see a bad window despite the fact that we're desperate?
I mean, obviously, I don't want us to get in a situation where we are being docked points and all that. I don't want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get into that situation. But uh, as you said, it doesn't have to be even Toney or Osimhen. You're not talking about 150 million. I know things like wages come into consideration as well. But if you get
Mhm.
someone like a Guresi for 17 million, you can get that money back easily, especially if you sell a player. If it means you have to sell a couple of players, then you're going to have to because we still have a big chance this season. It's still 2 points off Liverpool. We'll find out how they play against Newcastle. We're still in the Champions League round of 16. We're still in the FA Cup. The season is not over, so we still have chances to progress. So you can't just say let's wait for the next season again. Who knows? Maybe next season is going to be Man City and Liverpool and Tottenham and Man United. So what happens after that? And then you're competing with 5 teams. You don't want it to be like that. So we had a very good chance last season. We have another chance this season. Yes, you have to be wary about the FFP. You don't want to get yourself into trouble of points and transfer bans and all that. But it's not like we've been spending 200, 300 million every single summer, and now we are back in the Champions League. It can help us out as well. But if it means selling a couple of players that you don't need, absolutely fine. I'd be willing to sacrifice Nketiah to get a taller striker who's going to help us up front. So I'd be willing to, if it Adi really loves me through, but if it means there's someone who's going to give us 20 million and it allows us to get a striker, we are going to have to do that. We cannot be we cannot be like, oh yeah, we really love this player, so we really don't want to sell him. I would love to keep Smith Rowe for the whole season for sure. I'd love to keep him and see him improving and being the Smith Rowe that we had for a couple of years ago, and him staying with Saka and Martinelli. But if it means that we have to get rid of someone, Ramsdale, sell him, I don't know. If it means
Yeah.
we have to do that, we are going to have to do it, because we're in a very good position still, so we can't just let it go away. So for me, just get me 2, 3 signings. It doesn't have to be actual signings, 2 signings and a loan deal. That is also fine.
Okay. Just as we come to the end of the podcast, I'm just going to give you 5 options, 5 names. You give me your take on either sell in January or not, or keep until the summer. Aaron Ramsdale.
Oh, keep until the summer, because if something happens to Rare, you don't want Karl
Yeah.
Hein against
Yeah.
Bayern Munich in the Champions League. So I'd keep him until the end of the season. I don't know how happy he is, but FA Cup, you're going to play FA Cup games. Let's hope he progress there. He's going to get game time there if we progress.
Yeah.
The Champions League will come back in the Premier League. Maybe he can get a couple of games if Arteta believes in him still. I'd keep Ramsdale till the summer.
Emil Smith Rowe.
I always said Smith Rowe and Fabio Villard give them this whole season. Smith Rowe and Tomiyasu. I know they've been injured, but I said I'm going to give them this whole season to see how they do. Smith Rowe's now recovered. It looks like he's been fit for like 3 weeks. I'd keep him. I still feel like he's going to help us a lot in terms of rotating him with Odegaard and sometimes playing on the left. If it was up to me, I'd keep Smith Rowe as well.
Jakub Kivio.
We don't have defenders. If Timber and Tomiyasu were fit today, I would consider I'm getting a bit of money there. I'd keep him, but I wouldn't play him at left back. Play him at centre back. Let him help Gabriel and Saliba. Don't play him at left back. He also gets exposed sometimes. So play him at centre back, and then at the end of the season we can look for better quality. But I think as a centre back, Kivio is good. So we don't have any defenders. If you sell Kivio, we are literally like down to 4 defenders. So I'd keep him.
Thomas Partey.
100% keep for him. If we were to do percentages, I'd say him probably second in terms of that.
Even if it meant you sell Partey for 30 million, and you can now trigger the release clause in Zubimendi's contract.
I mean, Zubimendi is still a midfielder, so I get if you had said you sell Partey and then you get a striker for that money, then I'd consider it. But Zubimendi is very good. He's been very good for Sociedad, but I think Partey, even if it means he'll play away at Man City and play away at Bayern and play another game, even if it's 4 or 5 games, I'd be happy to keep him for that. And then the end of the season, I'd not keep him for next season, though.
Okay. Takera Tomiyasu.
Oh, definite keep for sure. I mean, he wasn't great against Fulham when he came on, but most of the season has been great for us. And again, even if he wasn't the answer, we don't really have enough defenders anyway, so he has to stay.
Reece Nelson.
You know, if you tell me you're going to get like 30 million for him, like we did for someone like Iwobi, I'd consider selling him. Because I don't feel like he fits into our system that much. And, you know, if you can sell a player like that. 2 years ago, I was very open to selling Nelson and getting very, very open. I was like, I can see them making it at Arsenal. But Nelson, the impact he had for us every time coming off the bench last season, I was happy to see him getting rewarded. But if you're to tell me like that Nelson sell would give us money for elsewhere, I'd sell him.
Jorginho.
Oh, that's such a tough one. I feel like he deserves game time. I feel like the time he came on in the Champions League against Sevilla, against Lens, the games that he started, he was very good for us. There's a pass he gave to Saka for a Trossard goal. I think against Sevilla, he was very, very good in that game. Again, we don't have enough numbers. So until the end of the season, I think we need to keep Jorginho. And I don't think we'll get enough money for him anyway, even if you're to sell. So keep Jorginho.
Finally, Edin Ketia.
If you're going to get like 30, 25 million, I'd sell him. So for Nelson and Ketia, Helen, boys and all that, I know. I don't think they're the worst players in the world.
As well. 100% profit as well. It means that you're working on a healthy limit with FFP rules.
If those situations would get us in difficult FFP situations, I'd sell both of them, Nelson and Ketia, and hope we can get money to sort out elsewhere. But if it was like they told us, listen, we're not in any FFP problems, we have 70 million to spend in January. I'd keep all of them because we have a lot of competitions, and I'd have Nketiah as a third choice striker. I'd play him in a few FA Cup games because after Liverpool, unless we also get Man City in the next round, there's a place where you can get a League One team, a
Yeah.
Championship team. Then you can play Eddie Nketiah in the league. If he only scores against Sheffield, as I told you, play him in that Sheffield game. Rest to Jesus. That until the end of the season. But if he's the one that can give us money right now with Nelson, those are the two I'd consider moving on.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for watching this part of the podcast. We've been talking about the striker and the transfer situation at the club, what we need to do, what will our January look like, and what should it look like as well. Make sure you're subscribing to the podcast. You're hitting the like button as well. Find Glenn on Glenn Kitely, Everything Arsenal, on YouTube, on Twitter, and Facebook as well. Thank you so much for joining me, Glenn, right on this one. It's been a very enjoyable one as well.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Absolutely. I'm happy that 2023 is behind us. It was a tough
Yeah,
year. It
yeah.
was an enjoyable year if you put it all together, but I'm happy that we've gone away from that. And let's hope 2024 is a better year. And happy new year to everyone.
Yeah, definitely. I will see you right in the next one.